Hello, and welcome to this special presentation of Elegies for Angels, Punks, and Raging Queens. This musical you are about to see first premiered in Soho, New York City in 1989, which was the height of the AIDS crisis, the time of another pandemic. Over the years and productions around the world, the authors Bill Russell and Janet Hood have continued to update it, including a new monologue written especially for this streamed version, performed by the wonderful Nathan Lane. Due to coronavirus restrictions, all the performers have filmed themselves where they were sheltering. 50 outstanding performers have donated their talents to make this event possible, as well as stage managers, producers, our casting director, and many, many support staff, all to benefit Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. You can join them by contributing to the philanthropic heart of Broadway at broadwaycares.org/elegies2020. Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS supports millions of people affected by HIV and AIDS, COVID-19, and other life-threatening illnesses. So your generosity will provide life-saving medications, healthy meals, counseling, and emergency assistance to 473 social service organizations in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. This extraordinary group of artists are people I have worked with, others I long to work with, and good friends. They are bringing something very special to you with this event, and it is an honor and a privilege to introduce these gifted artists to you as they perform Elegies for Angels, Punks, and Raging Queens.
We played this dive in the village, somewhere on the edge. During the breaks I'd hang outside, have a smoke, sitting on a ledge. I'd watch the parade as it passed by, the junkies and hard-to-draw teens. And it felt so right to be sharing the night with angels, punks, and raging queens. We played that gig for a long time, got to know some folks, gave them some change or took their cards, heard their schemes, listened to their jokes. At times they would stop and hear my song en route to their fabulous scenes. And I still get laughs from old photographs with angels, punks, and raging queens. Well, I loved that time in the village, though I still don't know what it means. Matrons and whores, intellectual bores, angels, punks, and raging queens. I passed that place like a phantom. Everything has changed. That lousy dive is a sleek boutique, priorities rearranged. I long for the mix of the battle days, the ball gowns and torn up jeans. And I sing this song for the souls who've gone. Sweet angels, punks, and raging queens.
our diva of the unrepentant homosexuals. We loved her so. You'd be proud to know she sang at the party we threw when you were through with living. Oh, the irony that I outlived you by so many years, only to die from the second virus to define our lives. Corona. Sharing a name with your favorite beer. The irony. Remember our outrage at the reaction to AIDS? Act up and die-ins, panic and hatred, the ignorance of the public and politicians. You'd think we'd have learned some lessons, but no. Oh, you wouldn't believe this shit show. Not long after you were gone, I tested positive for HIV. But before I got as sick as you had been, new drugs and combinations of them made AIDS manageable, though not cured still. I had it when I died from COVID, and many others will. My lungs were weak already. I ended in the ICU in a coma on a ventilator until I could join you. All alone. My only human contact, heroic healthcare workers who did their best to ease me to my final rest. So different from your hospice stay, when we would gather in your room, a little party every day, dispensing comfort and distraction, with constant interaction to help you on your way. The last I heard from anyone we knew was a text from our diva of the unrepentant homosexuals, who loved your clothes for her almost as much as we loved her songs. She wrote, "Wish I could be with you. Wish Patrick was here so we could hold you as we held him when AIDS was doing its damage all those years ago. So you could know we love you so." Through the years, I've tried to honor you and all the others. Now the quilt has panels for those like me who tangled with both these killers. You made your own memorial for the quilt. And mine, created, of course, by our diva of the etc. This is not the last pandemic. I'm sure there will be more. So, let's recall our history of what went down before.
When I died, my friends threw me a fabulous party. Exactly as I'd planned. With a chunk of my estate in hand, they rented my favorite restaurant, drank champagne and margaritas, laughed at memories as tears and beers were spilt, unveiled my panel for the quilt, then went dancing and tossed my ashes like confetti on that ballroom floor where we had played and played. Before. Oh, we did know how to party. we heard the sound of sirens in the city calling us to join the dance, and met in heady days of liberation from our fears a late-night celebration of how right it felt to say, I am here, and I am gay. Yes, we sometimes went too far. Too many drugs. Too many men. But as that world began to die, I marveled at how those movers of the stylish scenes, the stunning hunks, the disco queens, became the leaders of the fight. Ever constant flames of light in death's long and lonely night. The focus of my younger years was largely split between Dad's body shop and sewing on Mom's old machine. Me, the track and field star, working on my souped-up car, then whipping up fantastic frocks. Oh, not for me. For anyone. I always kept them under locks. But later on, those skills of sewing and design led to a modicum of fame. And many women wore my name. When I found out that my life would end from AIDS, I began to sew. The panel, which would show my name upon this quilt. As I survey all the thousands honored here, I wish that I could throw them all a party to celebrate the lives they had. Do not be sad. You who are living still have love to give and troubled hearts to fill with hope. We, the dead, are free from fear and strife and of the mysteries of life. Here, we're gathered in a mad collage. The heroes with the not so great, those who the disease took early, those who it took late, all the interrupted lives. I propose we celebrate.
As soon as I could, I fled the wretched town in North Dakota. Its conventionalities and cowpoke mentalities. I ran straight to New York City, caught a cab to Christopher Street, tucked my suitcase at my feet, ordered something a bit too sweet, and stayed till closing. Yum. Glorious virility overwhelmed my eyes like the disco sound assaulting my ears, and the small town fears floated right away as I sat day after day watching the parade. Life all around me here in the village. No more Dakota drudgery. Instead, the neon-pulsed, Manhattan-driven beat of hunky boys and men, complete with minds, set to compete for the best this world gives in one small place. These were the winners of the race. So, I got a job and settled in a studio so long and thin The sofa bed scraped the walls when open, which was all the time. For who knew when some stranger, dark, sublime, would stumble in and leave me lying with a grin across my face that even work could not erase. But then the plague descended, and my days of bliss were ended. It's gradually, at first, till there seemed no chance of slowing its advance. Death all around me, here in the village. The boys, the men, never to return again. And I among them, watching still, even here upon the hill of the town which I despised, ever glad that I devised some means of sweet escape. For though I was returned by death, at least I set out after life, and found some pleasure where I fled.
After viewing the quilt, I told everyone, if I die of AIDS, I want my panel to be fabulous. I was very clear about this. I mentioned it several times. So why did I get a beach towel with hand-drawn lettering and a teddy bear? A teddy bear. Do you know how many goddamn teddy bears are on this quilt? I'm sorry. It's just not me. I deserve something more original. Something special. Like Rock Hudson. Now there's a panel. That rainbow. Those colors. That glitter. I know. I should not be bitter. At least I was remembered. But I requested fabulous. It isn't fair to die and then be suffering from panel envy.
Hey, here's a good one. Wait. Look at it wet. Tripping on the beach in Provincetown. The day was gray. The light diffused. Whatever substance we had used made the hues of tiny rocks along the shore glow like gems in Harry's store. And there we were. Billy, Patrick, Joe, and Doug, and me, loony as five guys can be, jumping up in ecstasy over each discovery of another stone whose brilliant colors we would find alone, then share with all the others. Look! Someone had the revelation that the unique configuration of design was more remarkable when the tiny stones were wet. So we put them in our mouths. This sufficed more easily than always crossing to the sea. Oh, we were loony as could be. Demosthenes! I'd yell. Demosthenes! Take those stones out of your mouth and eat your dinner! And everyone would scream and carry on. How we laugh at times like those. How sad those days came to a close. First, Joe got sick. We mourned him so, then the rest began to go. Grief subsiding not one bit before another friend was hit. When I succumbed, I fought the dark which numbed my mind by focusing on when we shine there on that beach. And my last request to Doug, besides a final healthy hug, was that he take my charred remains and toss them off that strip of shore to blend with pebbles evermore. I was ugly as could get and thought I would look better wet. Oh, those days when life was one big party, floating on balloons of fantasy, when I'd feel so high I could fly right through the blue. Your standard reply to my well-rehearsed cue was, I'm holding on to you. Yes, I'm holding on.
Can't believe
that you're gone.
I
Don't belong to pursue someone new, 'cause I'm holding on to you.
still don't know just when the party ended. Haven't started learning to let go. I can't say goodbye and can't cry for those we knew. I can't even try to do more than review, so I'm holding on to you. Yes, I'm holding on. Won't admit to what's gone, and don't long for new dreams to pursue, 'cause I'm
holding on to you.
Feels like we're ballooning through the storm clouds. Someone let us loose and off we flew. No instructions, no crew, not a clue what to do. So I'm holding on. Yes, I'm holding on. Won't admit to what's gone, and don't long for new dreams to pursue, 'cause I'm holding on. Yes, I'm holding on. I'm holding on to you. I'm holding on. Yes, I'm holding on. Yes, I'm holding on to you. I'm holding on. Yes, I'm holding on. I'm holding on to
I always got what I went after. So when I heard the music of his laughter across that bar, where every self-appointed star thought it wasn't cool to smile, I clicked my heels across the tile to his side and said, I have something to confide. I'm completely over black apparel. It signifies a complete lack of individuality. I like your smile. And you're wearing red. I knew he'd fall into my bed. He did. One more slightly spoiled kid who had it all and wanted more, spinning my revolving door. Except I didn't send him back into that world all dressed in black. I kept him there with me instead and bought him more clothes colored red. And then one fun night of takeout and Netflix, he bursts into tears. "I'm bi," he says. "And I'm sick." And real quick, I jump in. "You're not sick? You're hot. No wonder guys want what you've got." "Not this!" he cries. "Not HIV! Not AIDS!" And when he died, he left me these. Some crimson shirts. And his disease. I never thought I'd end up dead because I loved a boy in red.
I'd lived enough, thank you very much, and was just as happy it was over. Though, I wish the ending wasn't quite so messy, and I died in something a bit more dressy. Still, I'm not sure it was any worse than living out the age-old curse of fading into a tired queen with a fallen ass, watching seasons slowly pass in some piano bar, wishing I was young and firm, filling out like a pachyderm. I was always first to scoff at couples made of two old men. I'd rather be a lonely hen chasing after chicks who sometimes have the yearn to learn some antiquated tricks. The end was not a pretty scene, though all in all, perhaps less mean than years of me growing old and crotchety, always bitching, giving guff. Oh no, my dears, I'd lived enough.
I was an ordinary Joe, took life and even breakfast slow. I never scaled the heights or even saw too many sights. I did my part, kept the books in order and the cart behind the horse. Never wavered from my course. Except that time when Emily announced she wanted a divorce. I walked out with no emotion showing, the door swinging on a broken hinge, and dived into a most unlikely binge. Me, awaking in a house of ill repute, where several things did not compute. How I got there, what I'd done. If only my one lapse from grace had at the very least been fun. And in my bed, a little chick with hair so red it seemed as though her sordid life had bled right through her empty head. This was not the world I knew. Numbers, columns, neat and true. I only visited by chance and left that awful circumstance as soon as I could find my pants. My life was not like magic. No headline screamed my fate. My death was not called tragic by the Fourth Estate. Living with the secret, I would sometimes overhear other men make fun of warnings they should fear. A plague of retribution on those they'd not go near. Somehow, I could not tell them what they didn't want to know. A virus isn't picky about where it wants to grow. They never dreamed it lived next door in ordinary Joe.
I was good with money and earned a tidy sum from doing naughty stuff. But unlike other high-priced girls on call who spent it all, I invested the outrageous fees earned from various ways that would please the preacher, senator, or gov. When they purchased my kind of love, they could rest assured no word of their kinks and predilections would ever pass these lips, which satisfied without restrictions. After all, the swells or country clubbers didn't count out T-notes to wear rubbers. So when they asked for special favors, I asked for extra compensation, economic stimulation. Put my earnings in the markets or the banks? No thanks. I liked assets which were tangible, like real estate, and started flipping properties so easy at the time. But then I watched the market crash as I was getting ill and saw my hard-earned stash consumed by mortgages and every kind of pill or variety of doctor bill. So the high-priced girl on call who one seduced through glamour ads online was then reduced to turning tacky tricks in cars and toilets of some sleazy bars. Yes, I earned a tidy fortune from doing naughty stuff. But even scads of money didn't prove to be enough.
You like the outfit? Simple, striking, understated, but effective! One night at the Velvet Rope, this fucking bouncer ignored me, so I went around the corner, stashed my well-considered ensemble behind some shrubbery, and strutted to the door wearing just my Calvins and gym rat bod. Oh my God! That velvet rope lifted quicker than an aging starlet's face! Once inside, all the daddies and the twinks downed their drinks and lined up for the ride. Sometimes, after BB, P&P, and all the other acronyms of variation in drugs and sexual experimentation, we would laugh at old Queen's warnings that we should take to heart the lessons learned by every ancient fart about the horror years of AIDS and how they manned the barricades. Yawn? I mean, who gives a shit? Didn't science conquer it? Apparently not. When I discovered what I'd got, I went on an online binge, hooking up with curious jerks and desperate gays, crystal meth, and sex for days. I post a pic, pose like this, and in an instant nanosec, my inbox would be flooded. Ooh, I dig big. Make me your pig. So, off I'd go and let the deadly rivers flow. I'd finish, and he'd say, Daddy, that's so good. I'd crack a grin and drop this little bulletin. Boy, it could be said I fucked you to death. 'Cause I have AIDS. Now so do you. Yeah, boy, now you've got it too. I'd Let that sink in a bit. Wait for the tears. Little shit. And I'd quit the lousy fuck small room, log on again, and look for other men to doom.
There was a time I wasn't known as loose. Ganders were fine if I was out of goose. Chickens flying in and out of my door, but I don't do that anymore.
I used to drink like a dried up
You sure
whale. Swallow the brine till I was on my tail. Dive the goldfish on the barroom
I saw you
floor,
doing
but I don't do that anymore.
No, I don't do this and I don't do that. I don't lose my head, I don't toss my hat. I tried it all at least once before, but I don't do that anymore. I must admit I've had some regrets.
Well, all right now, after the race, you can't change your bets.
But feeling guilty is a terrible bore, so I don't do that anymore.
Well, let's take it down.
No, I don't do this and I don't do that. I don't lose my head, I don't toss my hat. I tried it all at least once before, but I don't do that anymore. Sing with the no, I don't do this and I don't do that. I don't lose my head, I don't toss my hat. I tried it all at least once before, but I don't do that.
No, I don't do that.
We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
Hey everybody, Billy Porter here. And I just want to say that what these talented performers hope you will do is help support Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS by going to broadwaycares.org/elegies 2020. No contribution is too small, and the organization does a world of good all over America. Your donations help everyone from a musician or a stagehand on a Broadway show to a parent living with HIV in the Midwest, struggling to make ends meet. Our mission is especially urgent in this COVID-19 pandemic. Your generosity will go to assist those who don't know how they'll get groceries tomorrow, whether they can see a doctor next week, or how they'll pay rent next month. Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS has been there for decades. When I came into the industry back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was another epidemic ravaging our nation, our world. And it was Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS that stepped up and taught us all how to activate and how to be present, not only for ourselves, but for someone else. So this is nothing new for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. I am so humbled and blessed to have been a part of this organization for all these years and will continue to do so. Thank you in advance for your generosity. God bless you. And now let's see more of Elegies for Angels, Punks, and Raging Queens.
First time I'm in the hospital. Lady asks me my social security number. Ain't got one. don't do me no good on the street. Social worker lady, she looked deep and say,
You should call these people.
and I do. 'Cause it looked like there might be a buck or two somewhere for me. So, this white boy, blushing hunky red, come by, say he do the paperwork, and sure enough, I get some bread. But then, he keep on coming back, even when I'm out and lying around my crib. He rub his nose all the time like the smell of my room bother him or something. And he get upset when I cop some shit to make me happy. He play hunky judge and jury and flush that stuff in one big hurry. When I get bad, he take me to emergency at Bellevue. Crazies and cuffs, kids bleeding and stuff. I wants to smoke. He says, you can't smoke here. And I say, you're such a white boy. Wheel me behind that curtain. And he do. And I gets my smoke. One time I say, Sonny, I'm going to steal money from the nurses' purses because I'm hip to where they kept. And he get pissed off and say, you do that, and those nurses will fuck you over like you never been fucked over before. A door opened in my head. I sit up in bed. Hey, you a faggot? He look hard at me and say, some people call us that. He too much. Some people call us that. But he all right. The sight of him at my funeral in the Bronx make me laugh. Only white boy. Everybody scream and carry on. But hey, that faggot, blushing hunky red, keep coming back. Even when I'm dead.
God, I loved getting high. Any old drug I was happy to try. And new medications or combinations. Trying to tell a junkie she could die from sharing needles is like trying to tell the government there's no more money. Honey, it just don't register. So it was absolutely no surprise when AIDS hit me right between the eyes. That brought me down. So I searched the town for a connection to go in the opposite direction. Crack is cheap, but oh, it works. The one drawback is it comes with jerks attached. But having sex with 20 different guys can buy you several lovely highs. I ended on the street. Please, sir, spare some change so I can eat. And when one sympathetic passerby dropped some money in my cup, I returned to shooting up. One day this woman looked right at me and said, "You don't look well." I shot back, "Good enough to live in hell." She gave me needles in sterile packs, which didn't make me well or make me care. She made me promise not to share my works no more. I said, sure. She came to see me one last time with empty hands. "They just don't understand," she cried, explaining funding had been cut. Man, was she upset. I acted like I was too. Wondering when I'd get my next fix. Oh, those liberal do-good chicks! Even if I had wanted to get off drugs, which I certainly did not, there's no room in rehab. So if you're gonna buy the farm, what's one more needle in your arm? Who cares if it's dirty? That woman did. She always warned me I would die. She was nice. And she did try. But not as nice as getting high.
Everyone said I was crazy to marry him. Beneath your station. Why a man from Iowa when Kansas is full of good ones? Or a family like that, marked by disease, must be paying for sins hiding somewhere in their family trees. But I liked him. Nana's folks. And even though he and all his brothers had hemophilia, the experts assured us it was carried by the mothers, and therefore our sons would not suffer that affliction. And they didn't. Not our boys. Daryl. Little Gus. But something else was wrong. They weren't like other babies, but sickly and distressed. Before too long, we found out it was AIDS. My husband got it from treatments for his useless blood. Passed it on to me, and we gave it to the boys. Gave them death as surely as we gave them life. Oh, watched my babies die. And then my Gus. Only me was left of us. And then my mind began to go. Oh, people let me know I was acting strange. Like at the church dinner when I opened up the salt shaker and dumped the contents all over everyone's meal. And cried and cried and screamed and started taking off my clothes to let the demons out. I had one last reprieve of sudden clarity when I knew what needed to be done. I took a gun, which Gus had left, shot all the chickens and the cats, set fire to the house and the barn, went back to get that special yarn I'd ordered from Des Moines, and was eaten by the flames. Everyone said I was crazy. Wonder if I was. The lines are very hazy between wise and because.
My sister went through men faster than I did. Well, almost. Some of hers were losers, some were boozers, some were cute, but one of them was a real beaut. That was Brian, husband number 3 or 4. I don't remember anymore. He lasted longer than the rest, but not forever. It was best. Somehow, he became my friend, and we survived the end of their relationship. We shared the common bond of loving sand and water, framed by a frond or 2 of palm, hot, bright sun and the balm of island breezes. We dreamed of moving to the tropics, of leaving the aroma there in soggy old Tacoma. Don't misconstrue. He was hetero through and through, but we could do most anything together and have a real good time. When I confessed how messed up I was inside, he took action. Called in sick, said, pick your island, flew us to a beach like that where we just sat and watched the tide come in and out. Discussed what life was about. And after we returned, he learned all sorts of ways to help. How to change my soaking sheets without disturbing the tubes. How to give the medications. How to fight with dull administrations of hospitals and agencies. When to bark, when to bite, when to hold my hand so tight. I'd see beyond my fading sight. Of all the friends I ever had, Brian was the straightest and certainly the greatest.
Yes, my friend, it's raining again today. I never understood why you chose to stay in a climate that's mostly wet and gray, when what you loved was a sun so hot it turned the green grass brown, and the rain keeps falling down. Thought the sky would cry itself dry by this time. Thought that I would see the sun by now. One more tear might wash away this God-forsaken town, but the rain keeps falling down. Who am I? A regular kind of guy. I never let the clouds clutter up my sky. Learned to party, but never learned to cry. And even now my tears won't move. They're painted on a cloud, and the rain keeps falling down. Wish that I could let go with far less reason. But I can't cry at all. Thought the sky would cry itself dry by this time. Thought that I would see the sun by now. One more tear might wash away this God-forsaken town. But the rain keeps falling down. Yes, the rain keeps falling
Home was such sweet medicine. The mountain breezes cooled my fear. The untouched vistas left me feeling near the undeniable intelligence which created the myriad details of natural beauty. The wild jazz of 100 birds, the shock of sunflowers underlining the purple mountains, the pure, crisp air filling my lungs with hope. Dad said, "Well, son, if you're sick, you better come on home." Not many secrets in that town. Word got out that I was back before I girded for attack. I got a call, anonymous, which said, "Wish you were dead. And don't come to the school reunion." I was numb with fright when I limped into the room that night. I had always been the different one. Cruel youth had its fun at my expense. Jokes had been my sole defense. Then April, still as tall and lean as when she was homecoming queen, said, "Walter? Walter, is that you?" Came floating through the crowd and said loud enough for all to hear, "Our Walter has come home." Those words were like the first few drops of rain that led to showers of kindness from that community. There is no immunity to fear, but those dear people conquered that disease with care. And my old pop harvested a crop of decency in that time of our despair. Somewhere, there is an undeniable intelligence behind the beauty of that place and in the love on that town's face.
I didn't know what else to do. No auditions coming through. Hadn't worked in far too long. The room I'd had for Just a Song was locked one day when I came back. All my stuff stacked in the hall. I had to call the folks and borrow money to go home. Funny I should call it that. I felt like I'd been born in hell, escaped, and lived to tell the tale of growing up the tainted son of fundamentalists from whom I'd run the opposite direction. I had a voice and made the choice to sing secular creations despite my parents' protestations. I knew the scores of all the shows by heart and got a start at Disneyland. Pretty corny, but some of us were horny for the big time and auditioned for a Broadway tour. Sure enough, I got it. That was my finest hour. Why does such sweetness turn so sour? To get my folks to take me in, I had to ask forgiveness for my sin. When they saw the chance to win a wayward soul to Christ, they agreed to take me back, which turned out pleasant as the rack. As I lay there, hurting so, I was surrounded by fanatics, wailing, screaming, cheap dramatics and unrecorded tongues, and I used the air left in my lungs to sing the scores of all the shows I knew to drown them out, but they would shout, "Be gone, Satan! Take your demon music back below." And I would crow, like, "Don't you see that this is hell? What could possibly be worse?" Didn't Jesus say, "Love and nurse the sick, embrace those who transgress"? Where is he in this sorry mess? Perhaps Christ heard those anguished screams, for then I drifted in a dream of a lovely Broadway show where I was left to sing so beautifully that angels were applauding me. A miracle that lasted brief, allowing me to take my leave, lost in dreams of make-believe.
I was a big girl. I knew the score. Messed around, went back for more. Played the game with Mr. Jones, never caught his habits. But they crept into my bones. But hey, like I say, I was a big girl. And big girls don't cry. They take their mistakes and die without jumping into lakes of tears. They say, "Fuck you, world, I've had enough. Unless you're into playing rough, don't mess with me, 'cause I'm a big girl." But not my child. My sweet Arlette. Not old enough to think of boyfriends yet, but wise enough to know that others in the barrio would burn us out if they discovered what my sickness was about. So my sweet girl, not even 10, became the woman of the house. And I became her child. Totally dependent on her makeshift meals, her daring deals to get prescriptions, her descriptions of the world beyond my bed. I don't ask for pity. Don't cry because I'm dead. But somewhere in the city is an angel. A tiny gem. A pearl. Who learned exactly what it means to be a big, big girl.
I was born with this. Got it from my mom, who died when I was 3. My grandma took my sis and me. We never knew our dad, though Grandma always blamed him for the sickness that we had. Grandma was old. real old, and we tired her out. But she heard about this place that helped kids like us. A lot of them were sick, and most of them didn't have parents. So my sis and me each got what they called a buddy. I didn't think it sounded right to call a woman buddy, but we liked them, 'cause they bought us ice cream and took us to parties where all the kids skated or went bowling. Sometimes I'd get too tired to play, and that would make me mad, and mean kids would make fun of me for the sickness that I had. But I knew I had a buddy of my very own, and she'd always give me presents like a chocolate ice cream cone.
If we can learn any lesson from these acres of grief, it's to live for what we have now. If there's a path to comfort or a road to relief, I know you take me there somehow. Finding this friendship has restored my belief in the joy that fate will allow. So let's grab a moment, no reason to wait, and let's take a moment to celebrate that winter turns to spring. Celebrate the life the rain will bring. Appreciate the seasons that we share. Celebrate each moment, 'cause each one with you is rare. And we have weathered the storm, we have met the test. We have seen the worst, and we have done the best. Found great friends to share the weight. Let's take each moment to celebrate. Celebrate that morning follows night. Celebrate that wounded birds take flight. Commemorate the love of those who've gone. Celebrate each moment and that life is going on. Celebrate, celebrate that winter turns to spring. Celebrate life the rain will bring. Appreciate, appreciate the seasons that we share. Celebrate with music. Celebrate with laughter. Celebrate each moment. Celebrate. 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 Celebrate.
Wow. And we celebrate all of our generous supporters. Health crises can bring out the best in people, as we have seen since the beginning of Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. It began in the late 80s when theater makers and patrons came together to fight AIDS. Over the years, it's broadened to include many other health crises and natural disasters, and of course, the current pandemic. You can be part of the solution. If you can, please give at broadwaycares.org/elegies2020. And if you give right now, every dollar you give will be matched up to $25,000. So please, anything you can. $5 will provide a full bag of groceries for someone isolating at home. $10 covers the cost of an HIV test at a health clinic. $25 provides one person with healthy meals for a week. $50 ensures that the heat stays on this month for a family in need. And $100 helps provide home care for someone struggling with life-threatening illnesses. Please give anything you can. Now, let's see the rest of Elegies for angels, punks, and raging queens.
Honey, I figured if this was my swan song, I was gonna play it for all it was fucking worth. On one of my early visits to one of my early doctors, I collapsed in the waiting room and received the most delicious attention. That's when I realized I could do this episode like a true blue diva and go out in a blaze of style, not seen since Garbo graced the silver screen. I took to wearing lots of black, pearls cascading down my back, a tasteful camellia behind one ear, sometimes a veil. It was so queer. But they'd remember me when I was gone, so I just carried on. And on. All my life, I'd been tormented by the fearful and demented creeps who didn't see that laughter keeps the soul so free, that even death would smile at me. And in the end, there, on that ward, I truly gained my life's reward. An audience. Captive and enthralled, the odd venue where I was called to entertain. The challenge to erase the pain for just a while, to get a laugh or cause a smile where none had been for many days. Showbiz works in wondrous ways. So now you know this diva story ended in a blaze of glory.
I didn't want a soul to know. If word got out that I had that, fear would flood the laundromat. Who would want to wash her clothes in machines which had held those of someone now touched by a plague? What would people think? I knew they would create a stink and nod and wink behind my back, the ones too frightened to attack. My daughter, Meg, the firebrand, would have sued the doctors, who never came to the conclusion that the source was a transfusion. But I said no. I did not cotton to attention, did not relish mention of my name in connection with this shame. Still don't like it when heads tilt to read my name here on this quilt. I made no fuss and did my dying on a ward, the only place I could afford, filled with types I never dreamed of. Wasn't that fate's final kicker? Freaks and grandma getting sicker. Before I knew it, I was caring, despite whatever they were wearing. And they enjoyed my company. Who would have thought it? Mercy me. It's good to make friends as you go. But better other folks don't know.
There's a little trick to find out who your friends really are. Contract a terminal illness, then tell everyone you have it. Make a list. Cross off those who insist on asking, how did you get it? And under the heading of friends who are true, mark those who ask, what can I do? My news caused such a flurry of liberal concern at the company where I'd been pointed to with pride as proof executives in charge of sales did not entirely consist of Caucasian males. Oh, the rallying round of well-intentioned types who really showed their stripes by asking the wrong questions. Anyone who did was banished from the realm, and I was virtually alone at the helm of my careering life, wondering what the hell I'd do when the killer coursing through my body reached full concentration. Then my secretary, something of a sight in outfits more appropriate for night, closed the office door, burst into tears, and then apologies. Having worked for me for years, she knew my moods and needs and even fears instinctively, and made my life of dying much easier for me. She was there, and showed her genuine concern and care by reading to me when I became too ill to do so on my own. I requested Proust and Woolf and Gertrude Stein. She tried, but could not get through 2 sentences of those. As an alternative, she chose books she'd read her children. I soon knew every fairy tale and kitty ditty by heart, and then she'd start again, and I would sigh, go back. You have a life and your family needs feeding. But she would just continue reading. She only stopped when I did too. The company threw a tasteful little service, which she was not invited to, and then they laid her off. Yes, they treated her, my one true friend, worse than they did me. But she will have my gratitude for all eternity.
All the fairy tales have happy endings, even though the passage can be rough. We've been in the forest for a long time, so when will all our trials be enough? Now you have been wounded by the dragon and proved yourself a hero all along. I wish that I could heal you with the love I feel, or find a potion that can make you strong. Don't know what to say. I wish that I could wave a wand and chase the hurt away, but that would take more magic than making gold from hay. And though I'm only human, I am here to stay. Wish there was a book with all the answers, or articles that spelled out what to do. I would track down experts or opinions if they tell me how I could help you. but no one seems to know the solution, or even if there will be one someday. I wish that I could give you some small piece of mind, or promise there's an answer on the way. But I don't know how to help you. I don't know what to say. I wish that I could wave a wand and chase the hurt away. But that would take more magic than making gold from hay. And though I'm only human, I am here, always here. I am here to stay.
I have a question for the wives. How well do you know your husbands? Really? You think you do? No. Good for you. I thought that too. Louis, my husband. Oh, how I love to call him that. Was so very fine. Good man, good job, righteous and devout. Not a tiger in the sack. Or out. But all in all, quite the catch. A very solid, hard-won match. But like all men, Louis had his secrets. His business, as he called it. Late at night, he'd disappear after I'd gone to sleep. Or so he thought. And I even bought his lame excuse the one time I called him out. So much business on my mind, I got to walk to clear my head before I'm tired enough for bed. I had my doubts, but didn't press. He never did it to excess, and waking up occasionally to find his pillow undisturbed wasn't that much cause to be perturbed. Or so I thought. Until my Louis died. And well before my tears had dried, I had joined him. His late-night flights are what's referred to as being on the down low. Which doesn't mean low down exactly, but still seem pretty low to me. No, down low is where men like Louis go to meet others of their kind. When I found out how Louis killed me, I was furious. Questions rattled round my head. Why did Louis leave my bed? Was I unattractive? Did I send him to the other side where he was overactive? No real answers for how our husbands complicate our lives. Only questions for the wives.
At first, none of our nurses wanted anything to do with anyone with AIDS. That made me crazy, because I was gay, and therefore safe, at least at first, but not from seeing old friends die. So I volunteered for the new AIDS ward, and in about 2 minutes flat, I realized that professional standards did not apply. I just had to cry and help these people die. They needed hugs and common decency, much more than some invasive test which might prolong their lives for 20 minutes more at best. I stood it for a couple of years until my well ran dry of tears. The day before my leave was due, a pregnant woman crazed on crack had to be restrained. While I gave an injection, her hand got loose. I pricked myself with her infection. I found my way back to my ward by quite a different road. But now, many like me, helped with the load of details and of boredom that dying holds in store, and I was very proud to be back in that place once more. Sometimes we make a difference doing what we must and leave some small impression in life's enduring dust.
In the canyons of death, friends lie in a daze, silently fighting their way through the haze. Many unconscious to all sight and sound, though they lie there unmoving, they are heroes all around.
In apartments and wards, the angels descend to cool the fever, to sit with a friend, to fill in the void where no family is found. Though they never admit it, there are heroes all around.
They are out there right now, fighting a war, creating miracles, working for more. Their deeds unrewarded, their glory uncrowned. No missions recorded, but there are heroes all around. We all can be heroes by giving a hand, running an errand, or making a stand. Let's fight heaven's sorrow with feet on the ground. In the war for tomorrow, we need heroes all around. We need heroes. We need heroes. We need heroes.
I couldn't wait to go to Vietnam. I loved my country. Though the pansies and preppies said we fought for no good reason, I called it treason to doubt our elected leaders. Those pinkos and liberal-hearted bleeders had no idea what goes on in the real world. I was young. Too green to understand what I'd gotten into. But it was easy to get out powders and potions, laying all about so cheap and easy, sliding into my dreams so quick. The silencing of screams. Heard earlier that day screams of boys who were no longer here, to play in fields of poppies and of spice. Nice. Oh. And eventually euphoria. Let's go. You're going home. Let's go. I love my country. So I took an oath. No more needles, no more dope. Now my veins were full of hope. Parades are nice. Jobs are better. We had neither. I got a letter from my fiancé. Hey, sorry. What to say? Met this guy. You were away. So I searched out my old friend from Nam. Of course, Uncle Sam had raised the price by quite a bit and stepped on it. Until it took a lot more shit to hear the band and fill my veins with Disneyland. I drifted. And one day awoke to another cosmic joke, a battle of the blood. The fuel of my dreams attacked by some new enemy that advanced invisibly through hypodermic legacy until at last it found me. And I was certain that somebody would do something. That in this country that I still loved somehow, that I went to battle for, were soldiers who would fight for me. But silence. Nothing. Bullshit. So many more than died and nammed, not by gooks who gave a damn, but by neglect of bureaucrats we certainly did not elect, who ignored threat and fact and casually refused to act. Shame. Shame, shame, shame. For shame, history will place the blame on presidents and pussyfooted troops while mothers sit on stoops and cry for those who are lost needlessly. America, America, God shed his shame on thee. Shame. Shame.
Go back. Back to your closets. Can't you see how unseemly you appear, shouting you are queer? Well, my dear, we did things differently in my time. This aberration was better left a crime. Of course, God punished us with sickness and disease. We would not please him. We would not be what nature had intended. Fitting, we were ended in this unseemly manner.
We're here, we're queer, we're fabulous, don't fuck with us. We're here, we're queer, we're fabulous, don't fuck with us. We're here, we're queer, we're fabulous, don't fuck with us.
Especially those who waved the banner advertising our transgressions to the world. My flag was not unfurled. I suffered for my sin, kept it well within the bounds of moral approbation, and died in silent conflagration. Blessed is the one who blames his own creation of hell flames.
If you should get the diagnosis and find your T-cell count is dropping, I would offer this prognosis. Time to do some heavy shopping! Go ahead and buy like mad everything you wish you had. Take your plastic and go crazy. Final sprees aren't for the lazy. Don't stop to question what you need. The point here is to spend with speed. Jaguars, jewelries, don't think twice. Timeshares are especially nice. And may I offer one last word? Advice I wish that I had heard. If spending makes you feel alive, die before the bills arrive.
Certain folks stack up their gold, tuck it safely in the hold. They fear the future could be rough and deny themselves a lot of stuff. Other folks allay their fright, purchase everything in sight. They snatch up treats till the last bonbon, but you can't spend it when you're gone. Spend it while you can, 'cause once the shit has hit the fan or the fat is in the frying pan, you can't buy off the reaper. Better spend it while you can. Why leave a pile for kin that you hate? Why let them fight for your estate? Why give a chunk to the government man? Why not spend it while you can? Spend it while you can, 'cause once the shit has hit the fan or the fat is in the frying pan, you can't buy off the reaper and better spend it while you can. Spend it while you can, 'cause once the shit has hit the fan or the fat is in the frying pan, you can't buy off the reaper land. If treasure fills your caravan, you better spend it. Spend it. Spend it while you can. Better spend it while you can.
In South Africa, the only thing more useless than a husband is a politician. I married a truck driver, grateful to find someone who would bring home the bacon. But he also brought home the virus. I wanted to use protection when he returned from his long hauls smelling of cheap whiskey and cheaper women. But a condom insulted his manhood, or so he yelled before threatening to hit me. So I gave up and gave in. Like so many around us, my husband got very ill, very fast, and died. Or the politicians denied there was a problem, or denied there was a link between sex and the spread of HIV, like our president in Mbeki, who said a shower is enough protection. Mbeki had his health minister advocate a diet of garlic, olive oil, and lemon for those infected, like we were touring the Mediterranean instead of the shores of death. the husband left me with a final gift. A baby girl I knew I would not live to raise. I heard of a white woman who had turned her home into a shelter for the growing flood of children with no parents. In the outside wall, she made a nook, holding what she called the Moses basket, where orphans were left in the dark of night. I told my daughter to take her 2-month-old sister, tuck her in the Moses basket, leave her there and pray. Not for someone grand like Pharaoh's daughter, but anyone to find and care for this faultless babe. In South Africa, we considered ourselves the most developed country on the continent. But no matter how the progress grows, it cannot counter useless husbands and ignorant politicos.
Weren't we a pretty pair? You bedridden and incontinent, me covered with lesions, trying to take care of you at home. Our family's wonderful. My sister Judith, the hotshot lawyer from the East, drew up our wills airtight so that our dying wish could never be denied, and we would spend eternity sleeping side by side. And at your bed, your parents said, "You are an angel to our son. The two of you behave as one. Our family plot has room for you when it is time. You'll be there too." You stood beside me at your grave, trying to be brave as you were lowered in the ground. What a lonely, shocking sound. Then your parents turned around and said, "You are a disgrace. We never want to see your face again." The stress of knowing that the earth would not caress us there, together, it put me well under the weather. My sister took a leave of absence, nursed me to my end, then took an even longer stay to remain here by the bay and fight in court. She would not leave until she could retrieve your body. At last, we lie together and leave behind this legacy. Surely there is no dichotomy as good and bad as family.
My brother lived in San Francisco. He said he finally found his place. And when I go to San Francisco, everywhere I look, I see his face. Bud and I faced childhood under stark Montana skies, and Bud, he seemed to always have cities in his eyes. He longed for possibility. He lived to move away, and he finally found his dream in the city by the bay. Joe and I were best of friends in our small-time college town, and Joe had personality. What a campus clown. His jokes hit deeper rivers that bubbled far below, and he rode the current west where the
they would be there when we made it back again. My brother lived in San Francisco. He said he finally found his place. And when I go to San Francisco, everywhere I look, I see his
He told you of the party when he died, the celebration we threw. And now I too have joined the rest. But no party or memorial for me. Everyone who might have been there was stuck inside, sheltering in place, as so many of us died. But living is what mattered. And I lived with HIV and AIDS for years. Fought that virus. Indifference and outright cruelty surrounding it. Fought each invader of my body. Fought my fear of death and the unknown. That fight sustained and connected me with others who were fighting too. Made life as rich as it had ever been. You who hear me now and also fight, you who know the terror of the night of that virus or this new one, also know that thin line between your world and mine is an illusion. For on either side of that divide, the truth is, we are going on. My friends, time will have its way and all of us must leave. But not before one final tale, one story more, of lessons difficult to know. Not giving up, but letting go.
I fought the end with all my strength, determined to extend the length of this, my time. I struggled so to catch each breath. I would not be caught by death. Douglas, sitting there in that awful metal chair where he had been for months, it seemed. Was it that long? Or had I dreamed it all? This pallid room, the antiseptic-based perfume? No. He had been there all along. Knowing love would make me strong. But finally, he held me close and tight for seeming hours in the night and whispered, "Let it go. You are fabulous, you know. Have done and given all you could. And none of us would blame you if you called it quits." This is what true love permits. The strength to say goodbye when you are tired. Too tired to try. It was not hard to slip away. Douglas holding me that way, I think I smiled, at least inside, knowing love had never died.
My nephew Scott is ready to start walking. He grabs my leg to reach a new plateau. Soon he'll be exploring new directions. All it takes is learning to let go. My sister Jane has been so understanding. There's no need to explain, she seems to know. She holds Scott with such love and protection. But someday she'll be learning to let go. So thank you for being my foundation, for giving me a boost when I was low. Your courage is my inspiration. I guess it's time I'll be learning to let go. I'm thankful you could get to know my family, and wish that you were here to see Scott grow. He's holding on like there is no tomorrow, and all of us are learning to let go. I want to thank you for being my foundation, for giving me a boost when I was low. Your courage is my inspiration. I guess it's time I'll be learning to let go. I want to thank you for being my foundation, for giving me a boost when I was low. Your courage is my inspiration. Yes, it is. I guess it's time I'll be learning to let go. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. For being my foundation. My foundation. For giving me a boost when I was low. My inspiration. guess it's time. I'll be learning to let go.
Appreciate the seasons that we share. Celebrate each moment, 'cause each one with you is rare. And we have weathered the storm, we have met the test. We have seen the worst, and we have known the best. Found great friends to share the weight. Let's take each moment to celebrate.
Hi, I'm Danny Burstein, and like you, I'm absolutely blown away by these incredibly talented artists. And all of them donated their unique gifts to this benefit for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. You can add your support to all these theater professionals by donating whatever you can to continue the fight against HIV, COVID-19, and other life-threatening diseases. BCEFA is the single largest supporter of the Actors Fund, helping everyone in entertainment and the performing arts, whether they're on stage or on camera or behind the scenes. Plus, your donation will help people all over the country who face food shortages or need counseling or emergency services. Broadway Cares has been there for my wife and I countless times, and I could never properly express how much Tom and his amazing organization means to us both. They are angels in our lives. Thank you for joining us for this special presentation and in advance for becoming a hero yourself by contributing at broadwaycares.org/Elegies 2020. Thanks.
I passed that place like a phantom. Everything has changed. That lousy dive is a sleek boutique And I sing this song for the souls who've gone. Sweet angels, punks, and rain.